Hello everyone. There's going to be pounding in the background. There's nothing I can do about it. Well, I can. I just wouldn't be able to make a video. They're working on the house. There's some creakiness in the stairs and they're trying to remove the creakiness. They're just redoing half the stairs. Now, we're here to talk about the T-Rex, okay? And the work I have to do on Mr. T-Rex. First off, this guy, I'm going to move a little closer so you guys can see him better. This guy, he is not styrene. This is one piece. He is not resin. This is a vinyl model kit, okay? And being a vinyl model kit, there's some differences you have to work out with them. I'm trying to get it to focus on him instead of me. Anyhow, there we go. You can see the detail in the head. Why does that work and this doesn't? I don't know. Anyhow, Mr. Stormtrooper. Being vinyl, I went online. The shirt is reflecting light. I got online and did some looking. And what I found is a couple of things. It's very much like a resin model kit. Very much like a resin model kit. In that you don't glue it with styrene glue. You glue it with either epoxy or super glue. Ooh, I don't like that claw. The orientation of that claw is bad. I'm going to have to look and see if it's supposed to be that way. You glue it with epoxy or super glue, okay? And primer. You must prime this just like you must prime resin. Now, one thing about primer on this is do not use an enamel-based primer. An enamel-based primer will cause problems. Quite a few of the places I read, I'm going to put the links in the bottom of this video. Quite a few of the places I did some reading on suggested that you... Yeah, there we go. Here's another problem with vinyl. See the claws? This claw should be facing forward and it's facing back. They do get deformed, just like resin can. Quite a few of the places said use an automotive primer. That means going through a spray can, and I don't like that idea. A lot of them said lacquer-based paints are okay. They were also saying for seam filling you can use Squadron White, Squadron Green, and Bondo. And I use a Bondo putty, so I'm going to be using the Bondo putty on this. And I saw quite a few of them using love the teeth on this guy. The teeth are just outstanding. They were using Mr. Surfacer as their primer. That's lacquer based. Here's the tongue. I don't like the underside of the tongue, but you're not really seeing the underside of the tongue. He's got a big old tongue. But they were saying they were using Mr. Surfacer, which is fine, and I'm okay with that. I'll probably use All Clad, and a lot of them were saying lacquer-based paints work fine on vinyl. One thing, I'm going to test it. I've got the base for this guy. I didn't show it on video. I don't know if I really want to use the base. But one thing about the base is it has a molded footprint. So you know you can affix this guy to the base really well. He's going to have to be pinned in. And I don't really want to do that because look at that foot. The guy that mastered this kit did the entire kit completely. Yeah, I'm gonna fix that one claw. I mean, he did the entire kit completely. Well, the first thing I'm up to today is to try and take care of some of these gaps. I want to see if I can get this thing to close up a little bit better. The legs fit really well. There's little issue to me on this leg. This leg is fine. This other leg, it has some sticky spots to it. So I think I can get this leg here to seal up a little bit better than it does. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't want to deal with this ridge right here. And I can tell when I'm pushing on it that it closes up better than I have it. So just a little bit of work and that's going to close up fine. So I've got one leg that needs work, one leg that doesn't. I'm holding the doesn't off to the side. I'm sorting parts right now. The tail. That tail sits on there really well. So I'm not too worried about the tail. Okay? Now, another thing you do with resin models that you may not have to do with styrene is pinning. And I may not need to pin this guy because the pins already in existence are so big. The tongue fits in there really good. I'm not going to worry about the tongue. Seam filling that back half of that tongue is going to be bad, but it's so dark in that mouth and it's so deep, you don't really see back in there anyhow. So the tongue is good. Now we got to take his little armies. Now I wish that arm fits a little bit better, so I'm going to do what I can to get that arm to fit a little bit better. It's not too bad. See, I would rather have the gap here. Let's see if we can get the camera to keep focusing where I want it to. All you see is T-Rex, not the rest of the room. There we go. I don't mind this gap running wrong here. Filling gaps I can do. I don't want lips like this. So that part goes over to the must be fixed pile. And these things are pinned really well. They only go in one way. They're keyed really well. You can see the difference in the keying on this side versus this side. There is a difference. They're keyed very well. And this arm here fits in really well too. So I only have a couple of parts I have to work with. A couple. Here comes the stinker part. The jaws. They don't fit in well at all. I'm going to have a lot of trimming to work with on this. Now watch, they just snap right in today. Okay, that is the best fit I've had of the jaws yet. You can see a big gap around that neck. But with some work, it's not all that horrible. In fact, I can see I don't have to really clean the part up. I can just force the gap bigger right there. Now I'm going to have some cleanup work to do inside the mouth, so that tongue is going in last. Is it possible to put the tongue in last? It sure is. The tongue can go in last. And that hides, well, that does not hide the big gap in the back. But it hides a lot of the gaps on the sides of the mouth, because that tongue, yep. So the only real gaps I'm going to have are, let me keep the camera focused where I want, right along here. You can see it, and under his chin. And I don't have to rework that part. That is good. So I only have a couple of parts to rework. Now the fun part here is going to be I got to paint the inside of the mouth before I assemble, or I'll never be able to access the inside of the mouth, and I'm pretty sure that's why he did it that way. The only mold seam I could find on the entire kit is running right here. And there's a nick in it right there that I wish wasn't there. So that's the only mold seam on the entire kit. Not even this tail exhibits much of a mold seam. Okay? So it's a well-cast kit. It's a well-done kit. I just have a couple of issues to fix. And I'm about to get out the Bondo and sit down and start. I'm going to fix the fit issues with the legs first. Now, assembly. I'm not following the directions. Let me find the directions real quick. Okay, first page of the directions is just informative. they tell you how to assemble the Triceratops. Then they show you how to put this together. There is no order, no steps, no nothing. And it says attaching figures to base. They're very basic steps. Now on the last page, it says painting guide, and I'm going to read this. It says to get a really nice finish, make sure you use quality hobby paints and brushes. I learned that a long time ago. I'm not going to go cheap on the paint. The main reason is you go cheap on the paint, you're going to get, well, I wouldn't say you're going to get, because I haven't used cheap paint before. But when I was using different brands of paint, like Krylon for primer, and then Testers, and then Tamiya, I was getting some weird paint interactions. So I quit doing that. I don't use Krylon for primer anymore. I only use hobby paints for primers. Let me sit down so I look better. Anyhow, take good care of your brushes and clean them well after every time you use them. They will last a long time. Before you paint, make sure you lay down some newspaper in the area you're working on, or use extreme caution when using hobby tools. That's the other thing. When you're trimming vinyl, one of the sites I read said have a first aid kit nearby, have 911 pre-dialed on your phone, so you just hit call, and a bunch of other stuff. Make sure you're always trimming away from you. Apparently this stuff's pretty tough. Okay? Apparently it's really tough. The kit parts are molded in vinyl. We recommend using cyanoacrylate adhesive, CA glue, or 2-part epoxy for gluing the opaque parts together. Due to material molding process, some parts may be distorted and may need to be reshaped prior to assembly. We recommend submerging distorted parts in warm water or using a blow dryer to heat up your parts for reshaping. Once the parts have been heated sufficiently, reshape to the desired position. Cool parts rapidly by submerging them in cool water to set the shape. May require repeating process to achieve desired results. Now, what they told me there is exactly what I'm used to seeing, reading, that if you want to reshape a part, and I got to reshape that one toe, because that one toe is bad right here. Heat is fine, and then cool it. Heat and cool, heat and cool. Cool. It has a memory. It'll go back to the last place it was heated to. Just like resin. So if I heat this up and bend this toe around properly, it'll stay that way. It'll be fine. So I need to do a little bit of trimming on this guy to get these edges to sit down correctly on 2 parts. I'm going to put the little armies on, seam fill, then the tail and seam fill, then the legs. So that's the order I'm going to work in. I may change my mind. Another thing, it says this is a 1/24 scale kit. And I'm going to check that real quick. So give me a second. I gotta go find a ruler. Okay, I'm not thinking. I have a ruler on the cutting mat. So let me put the tail on. This guy is about 18 inches long. Okay? Yeah, he's right at 18 inches long, more like 19 if you straighten him out all the way. So let me look at a scale. I got a scale converter. I'll show you that in a second. Okay, it's not working. Wouldn't you know, you do something on camera for the first time and it doesn't work. Now it's loading. Okay. I found a place where I can add a custom scale. So if I put him at 40 feet, he's supposed to be 1 inch. Well, no, that's the wrong scale. So it doesn't have 24, so we're going to add another scale. He's supposed to be 1/24 scale. Okay? So if he is 40 feet, Okay, he's supposed to be 20 inches long. So he is 1/24 scale. This is a 1/24 scale model. It happens to be the exact same scale size as Ma K kits. Okay? And, well, I have some Ma K kits. Gears are turning. I don't know if I'll do that. I'll be honest with you guys. I do have some plans for this guy. It's not going to be a simple, basic diorama. But it also isn't going to be just anything as well. Now, the scale converter I'm working with is the Woodland Scenics model converter. Okay, it's a free download. I have an Android phone, but I know they make it for the iPhone too. So those of you that want to do that. Now, one thing about it, you can add your own custom scales. It comes with mainly railroad scales. But they also have all their videos listed on here. And I don't know if you subscribe to their channel. If you're a diorama maker, they have some nice stuff on their channel. Okay? I'm not going to use a whole lot of what they were doing. That's for sure. But I am going to take care of a few things. So anyhow, I'm going to get busy on working on this guy and getting him cleaned up. I've only got 2 parts that really need a lot of attention. And I can start putting him together. I'm going to use epoxy and not CA glue. I like using epoxy more than CA glue. I don't know why. I just do. But anyhow, I'm going to get busy and I will stop and show you guys what's going on. One of the things I got to attack first is that claw. I'm going to use a hair dryer on it. I'm going to get some water, some cool water to dump it in. I got a decal bowl. Mr. Stormtrooper, you're trying to say something? He wants to talk. Well, not talk. He wants to show you guys something. So I'm going to move the camera. This is the Bandai Stormtrooper I've been working on. He's almost done. He's holding a sign. What's that sign say, Mr. Stormtrooper? I don't know if we can see it from here. He's cheering me on. He's holding a T-Rex sign. It's sitting on a piece of petrified wood. Okay, Mr. Stormtrooper. I'm happy to see you're good with it. You're 1/8 scale. This is 1/24 scale. So make this 3 times bigger. And then we would be able to have them in scale with each other. That would be fun. But I'm not going to make a 3 times bigger T-Rex. No. I'll be back later.